The Sony A7V is shaping up to be one of the most watched camera releases in Sony's hybrid lineup, not because it promises massive innovation, but because expectations and uncertainty are colliding in a way that feels unusually intense for the A7 series. Historically, each new A7 model has carried a clear message, a reliable step forward, a carefully balanced hybrid tool, and a continuation of Sony's steady dominance in the full-frame mirrorless space. But this time, the situation is different. Competition from Nikon and Canon is stronger than ever, Sony's own catalog is starting to overlap in ways that blur product identities, and the leaks surrounding the A7V have been contradictory enough to stir confusion throughout the creator community. The big question now is whether Sony can deliver a camera that satisfies both its existing user base and the general market, without stumbling in the process. Let's begin with what has been circulating so far. For months, whispers of the Sony A7V have been appearing across various rumor sites and insider channels. The general consensus is that Sony is preparing to reveal the camera either in late 2025 or at the very latest in early 2026. Shipping is expected in the first quarter of 2026, which lines up neatly with Sony's usual 3 to 4 year refresh cycle for the A7 series. On paper, this timeline makes sense and would put the A7V on schedule as the successor to the very successful A74. However, things get complicated when we move from timing to specifications. Not long ago, a high-profile Sony artisan posted what appeared to be early specifications for the A7V. The post included details such as a new 40-megapixel sensor, 15 frames per second continuous shooting, and the inclusion of Sony's newest AI processing engine, the same advanced chip found in high-end bodies like the A7RV and the A12. But the post was deleted just as quickly as it appeared, leaving many to wonder whether it was a leak, an early concept that changed, or a simple mistake. What followed only made the situation murkier. Newer leaks began to suggest the A7V might not receive a brand new sensor at all, and instead retain a 33-megapixel full-frame sensor, the same resolution as the A74. That rumor alone ignited debate across forums and YouTube channels. Creators who were expecting a meaningful leap in resolution and performance suddenly felt Sony might be preparing a conservative update rather than a forward-thinking one. Some speculated this was merely a strategic misdirection from Sony, while others saw it as another example of Sony holding back to avoid internal competition with its A7S and FX series. The rumored price does little to calm the uncertainty. Early numbers place the Sony A7V at around $2,999, putting it in the same competitive range as Canon's R6 Mark II and Nikon's Z6 III. Both of those rivals already feature faster readout sensors, stronger video capabilities, and more modern processing pipelines. If the A7V truly launches with a non-stacked 33-megapixel sensor and no major improvements in readout speed, Sony risks releasing a camera that appears outdated at launch, something the A7 line has never been guilty of. Sensor technology is actually the core of the debate. Hybrid creators now expect at least a partially stacked sensor in the $3,000 price segment. This design dramatically increases readout speed, reduces rolling shutter, and unlocks higher-end video modes like fast oversampling, 4K 120 FPS, and cleaner electronic shutter performance. If Sony decides against it, many shooters may feel the A7V lacks the technological ambition needed to compete in 2026's hybrid market. Even insiders have hinted that Sony's hesitation may stem from internal product overlap. If the A7V becomes too powerful, it could threaten the A7S line, and if it leans too video-centric, it risks stepping on the toes of Sony's FX series, particularly the FX3 and FX30. Despite the conflicting information, one thing remains certain: the Sony A7V is coming. The bigger mystery is how it will fit within Sony's increasingly crowded ecosystem and what kind of compromises Sony is willing, or unwilling, to make. But beyond the rumors, it's important to examine what creators actually expect from this camera, because the A7V's success hinges on Sony addressing the A74's most glaring weaknesses. The A74, though highly successful, wasn't perfect. Two main issues consistently rose above the rest. The first was the crop in 4K 60 FPS, which forced users into a Super 35 window. For many hybrid shooters, especially those who rely on full-frame video for storytelling, weddings, or travel content, this was an immediate deal-breaker. Both Nikon's Z6 III and Canon's R6 II now offer full-sensor 4K recording, making Sony's crop feel outdated. If Sony wants the A7V to feel competitive, removing that crop is absolutely essential. The second major complaint was the slow readout speed of the sensor. Rolling shutter was noticeable in video modes and even affected electronic shutter stills. Although Sony's autofocus performance and color processing were highly praised, that sluggish readout limited how the A7IV could perform in fast-paced scenarios such as wildlife, sports, and action-heavy commercial work. A faster sensor readout in the A7V would dramatically improve stills and video performance, and potentially unlock advanced recording options like 6K oversampling, internal RAW, and high frame rate modes without excessive artifacts. Creators are also hoping for upgrades beyond the sensor. Many want Sony to introduce 32-bit float audio internally, something that would make the A7V a much more serious tool for documentary and solo filmmaking. Others are hoping for open gate recording, which would allow creators to capture the full 3:2 sensor for vertical and cinematic framing flexibility. These kinds of features are no longer considered niche, they are becoming essential to modern hybrid workflows. Autofocus is another area where Sony could easily step ahead. By integrating the dedicated AI processor from its newer bodies, the A7V could gain human pose recognition, enhanced animal and bird tracking, and more accurate subject detection for vehicles and unpredictable movement. For wedding shooters, event photographers, and run-and-gun filmmakers, these improvements could massively increase reliability. Sony's autofocus already has an excellent reputation, but the A7V has the opportunity to refine it further. Then we arrive at ergonomics, a topic that might not be as glamorous but matters deeply to working professionals. Many users are hoping the A7V adopts the A7RV's redesigned body, including the versatile tilt-flip screen, better thermal control, and sturdier chassis. A deeper grip similar to the A9 III has also been requested repeatedly, though leaks suggest Sony may recycle the A74's familiar body. While that wouldn't be a deal-breaker, it would place extra pressure on the internal improvements to justify the upgrade. Timing adds another layer of complexity. Multiple industry insiders have stated that Sony has two announcements planned around the end of 2025 and early 2026. The A7V could appear during either window depending on inventory management and marketing strategy. Recent price cuts might offer a clue. Sony dropped the A74's price by $700, reaching its lowest price ever at $1,999. In the camera industry, such a dramatic price reduction usually signals one thing: clearing inventory ahead of a major new release. However, some analysts think Sony might stretch the reveal across two stages: an announcement teaser during the holiday season, followed by full details and pre-orders in early 2026. There are also rumors of new lenses launching alongside the A7V. These include a 100 to 400 mm f/4 GM, a more affordable 100 to 400 mm G zoom, and a 20 mm f/2 GM ultra-wide prime. Such a lineup would signal that Sony is preparing a broader ecosystem push, not just a standalone camera launch. Right now, the Sony A7V feels like a camera stuck between two eras, the one Sony dominated and the one where its rivals are catching up or surpassing it. If the A7V launches with a recycled sensor, cropped 4K, and no significant readout improvements, many users will likely jump ship. But if Sony embraces bold changes, stacked sensor, faster readout, full-frame 4K 60, next-gen autofocus, open gate recording, the A7V could easily become the next hybrid powerhouse. Ultimately, the A7V represents more than a new camera. It serves as a statement of where Sony wants to position itself in the rapidly evolving hybrid market. Will Sony play it safe and risk losing ground? Or will the A7V redefine what a mid-tier full-frame camera can achieve? The creator community is watching closely, and the next move is entirely in Sony's hands.